Hey everybody, BTO Pro here. As you'll notice, I do that at the beginning of every video. We're going to do an interesting little merger here. So I'm going to show off something that's in progress in HAXcms. The next release is coming out hopefully at the end of the day, we'll see. And merge that with something going on in the class that I'm teaching. So Luke here did a pull request, and part of the first assignment was to work on pull requests. And you'll notice here that it's against haxtheweb.org. How peculiar the projects that I pick for these things. So anyway, it's a super minor change because we're just getting into the whole pull request workflow and Git in general. So you see here, basically rewriting the sentence to make more sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept this into my project. So in this case, the project is actually haxtheweb.org. So we'll get to this later in the semester. We're going to talk about content management systems and the difference between static site, file generator systems, and pick through some of those, and dynamic database-driven systems. And then we're going to look at weird crap like, in this case, HAXcms, which I would say is kind of a new breed of this because it's a hybrid between these two. But anyway, so that change was accepted, pulled in, right, by LHX Cyber. So now for the showing new features in HAXcms itself. So for one, my course space that I've been working on, which is that this is SaaS-based version that we're working on currently. So this is where students go to actually get access to the content. That's because I'm using HAXcms to teach. A couple different faculty are this semester. It's pretty cool. But I wanted to check it out, if you will, and work on it locally. So this is backed by a repository, which I can go to. It's under, in this case, it's BTO Pro /IST402. So what I was doing is I was working in this SaaS-based solution. I actually tunnel into the server and I hook it up to this Git repo, and then I, did a manual Git push, right, to get these files up here. But what we're increasingly trying to do with HAXcms is take this whole process that's under the hood and the fact that I just said I had to tunnel in and do some magic. We're trying to remove all of that, actually. We're trying to make it that it's just, hey, I want to get this site from point A to point B. And part of how we do that is by starting to expose Git-based functions and settings to the UI. Now, a lot of this stuff is going to be set up automatically. A lot of it, if you imagine it's in a SaaS offering, it would be much more like copy and paste the address, right? But Git is an incredibly powerful, way of doing business that we're building HAXcms on top of, and it's only remixable and is promising the level of portability that I'm claiming for OER in the future as a result of things like what you're going to see here. So to get IST402 here, again, it started out as a website. I ran some magic. It puts it up to GitHub. And then what I did is I copied this address and went into HAXcms and hit import, pasted it. Now, to demonstrate that that actually happens, I'm going to go and delete it off of my file system. So, because I already have it there. So we'll go to sites in here, right? So this is a copy of HAXcms we're looking at. And I'm going to get rid of IST402. Now, again, via the fact that this is Git and it's actually hosted on GitHub, that just kills it off of my computer. But if I do import and I throw in that address, it just imported it via connecting to GitHub and pulling down whatever the latest copy was. So that is a insane operation that just happened right there. Because when this site is out in the wild, like the way that students experience it, it looks like this. And there's no authoring tools over here. However, just by knowing where that code base is located, and then connecting to it, pointing to it, what have you, and pulling it locally, right? This is now locally running in a DDEV container. I didn't have to do anything else. It just, the files are there, and then as the page loads, HAXcms does a series of checks to see, is someone logged into this page? Because it's not easy to be able to pass that authorization check. And so if it detects that that I'm logged in, it says, oh, hey, yeah, you can edit. And so now I can edit and modify my course, and I'm now currently on a local machine. Now getting into, again, some of the the next version that's coming out that we're working on here, all of the settings have been completely regrouped and done via this new form API that we've been working on under the hood, so that it's a lot more user-friendly as far as where these things are, how they're related. All right, so I could take this course, and again, I built this course on a third-party service. I just got a copy of the files. There's no databases to import any of that. You saw me copy and paste that address. And then even just something simple like saying, well, you don't actually see the icon in this theme, but let's change that website to a basic documentation site, right? So currently it's in the learn design, but let's shift it over to documentation. We'll make the primary color purple. For SEO purposes, we want to automatically generate paths. Publishing, we want to use the Penn State CDN. Yeah, we do want, if these assets are actually published, for it to be completely offline capable. That's not the default setting. And then getting into version control, we can see when this was initially set up, it didn't have any of these settings plugged in. So there is a bit of a disconnect that can happen where the git bit, back to version control under the hood, right? Those .git settings are different from the site.json settings. And this is actually on purpose, so that you're not wed to both, and then you could actually switch it in here. But I'm going to say, well, the default branch is master, and static branch is GH pages, even though we're not leveraging that. And then the git URL, that's where this is getting thrown in. You can put in auto push on save. We want to make sure we're connecting to GitHub. And then this is something I am currently working on implementing new features for, or functionality of. The idea behind that setting would be, let's say that we have a course and these pages do actually have Git backing them, right? But if no one's exposed to that, they won't know, they won't know how to get to this magic link. So I'm currently working on a little Octocat corner thing that if you put in a public repo address, like saying, hey, the files of this site are publicly available at this location, and it explains that a little bit, that I'm going to hit save, and we'll see the design has shifted. I might have to refresh. There we go. The design has shifted. This color has shifted, and the reason that just happened is if I throw this up in a my Git desktop visualizer here, you can see it says origin updated. If I go to history, we can actually see those operations, right? So when I had that side panel pulled up and I changed those settings, it then saved them back to the site.json file and refreshed itself on the fly and made commits to Git. Can't stress how critical this is enough that it actually took that data, pushed it up into version control without me having any knowledge of what that is. Yes, I went and set, these one-time settings right under the version control tab, and we're still working on what the names of these things are. However, if I wanted to sync this down from, or push things up, now there's a button exposed in the UI to do that. So I could also revert this. In fact, I am going to revert the last commit because I don't want my site to look that way. And we'll revert one more time to go back another commit. Let's see. I might not have refreshed the page. Let's go back. Let's try to go back one more in history here. Again, I'm local, so hey, there we go. So that commit reverted, and that sent it back to the original settings. It reloads the settings and goes, oh, actually, we're using a new theme now, and switches themes. Pretty awesome. So as far as the Hacks the website, which I have on here, we go Hacks the web. Go to Hacks the web, and that change that was out on the website, now I will be able to review in here. So let's go to Hacks the web. We're going to fire this up in GitHub Desktop. And we can see, I've merged some things in the past, right? However, now we're going to actually pull in a commit that comes from that merge on GitHub, but we're going to do it via just the UI settings here. So I'm going to go to version control, and I'm going to do sync git origin. And hopefully it'll work. Haven't run this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, it does take a second. But we can see what happened under the hood there is it went and actually said git pull origin master, git push origin master is effectively making sure the files are equivalent between the two sources. And then we can see that pull request by loop pulled in, right, and modified the what is it file. And then as I'm working locally here, now if I search for what is it, right, we could find it in the FAQ section, you know, the file that was in. What is it? We need to do titles. There we go. It was in this page that his commit was. So you can see we're starting to get into this interesting end-to-end pipeline. Imagine having this as a desktop app and not needing to understand concepts of Git, but being able to fully leverage and benefit from everything going on with it. So there's also some minor UI normalization in this, just things like, you know, see those top and bottom bars, same color. We need to make them, you know, the right size, obviously. Still cleaning some things up there. There's also some nice state additions. So like if I hit edit, you see these other buttons that aren't available options go away. The bar is aligned appropriately with this panel. Similarly, if I open up the side settings, it pushes the theme out of the way no matter what the theme is. And then it removes all the other options. The only thing I can do is close or cancel this. This also then allows me to start modifying previously unavailable settings. So like in theme, I had showed that in past videos, but author settings, so I can change the license of this work. I could upload a new image or reference an image of myself, which some of the themes use, change the name that I'm going to portray myself in those settings. So really starting to turn this into a more full-fledged content management system type of backing to it, particularly once we get these custom fields wired in and working on a regular basis. So, which you can see here, we're already starting to. So then you'll be able to add new custom field data per node. And by node, you know, it's the page as far as in GitHub or whatever. So that is most likely what's coming really rapidly in the next version of HAXcms. You'll see we also have a sync button here, so you can do that operation from this console as well. So pretty powerful stuff, working on the CLI some more and wiring up some of those settings to the Octocat icon so that you can, you know, more easily streamline people contributing to your work, particularly important in open source documentation and in OER. So, catch you later.